So last things I have, these are quick. They're just rapid fire. What is the go-to drink to have in the car on long drives?
Probably Diet Coke, and I shouldn't drink it. I went for a while without drinking Diet Coke, started drinking half and half iced tea, got a kidney stone and said, fuck, I'm never doing that again. Diet Coke's probably the worst thing you'd ever drink. So I try, and by the way, like Gatorade and that shit gives me heartburn. So, believe it or not, I should be drinking what my kids are drinking a little bit more of, and it should be water. Plain old, good old water. Yep.
Okay. What is a must-have item in the car?
Oh man, iPhone charger.
Okay. What is the best song to drive to?
100 million. It depends on my mood. I told you, self-proclaimed weird. There's a video when we were on the rally that I got out there. It's John Mellencamp, Hand to Hold On To. There's certain places where you're at. Like it depends on the scenery. I'm not a monolithic kind of guy, so there's no single answer with me. It varies, but anything from rock to country. You won't find me really listening to classical on a drive unless somebody else is driving and trying to go to sleep. But it just depends on the mood.
Okay, fair enough. I'll let it slide. I mean, everybody else gave me one, but I'll let it slide.
I will give you one. So when I die, and y'all come to my funeral. My wife will tell you this. She knows this. Pink Floyd, Coming Back to Life. That's the song that you play when I die.
Okay, that works. Worst ticket you've gotten, and if it was speeding, how fast? If it was something else like tailgating or whatever, points wise, I guess. But then speeding, worst.
I think 85 and a 55 in Georgia. I haven't gotten, knock on wood, I haven't gotten a lot of speeding tickets. I got some as a kid. I talked I was in the military. There's some stories there, but I think 85 and a 55. And I was in the Jeep hauling ass to the airport. I had Katie and Grayson with me. Cop pulled me over. I put new wheels on there. He got me 85 and a 55 down by the airport. And I fucking took it and then went and got on an airplane, went wherever we were going on vacation. And then I came back, went to court, pleaded nolo contendo, bless you. And I didn't get any points. I just paid the fine.
Okay, good deal. There's been some interesting answers so far to that question.
Well, did you hear the story about our ticket on Crown Rally South? No, I got it on video. So you said that you was going to be short, but you're talking to me. So Frank Ball, 30 seconds. It'd be 5 minutes. So we got the headsets and everything in the car. I'm running, we've got, I bought that tablet. We're running the new Valentine 1G2 with the JBV1, all these crowdsource alerts, everything. Radar's going off. We're coming up on that tunnel in Kentucky, and it's me and Tom Savage in the 458. And by the way, we're spitting out antifreeze. The cap that we put together is like melting and coming apart. So we go fucking hauling ass through that tunnel, shifting lanes, passing each other, making noise. The Ferrari screaming like an F1 car. I got the headsets down here. Grayson's filming it. And he goes by, and you can see on the tablet 3 KA bands and 1 K band. Just fucking it's going off. And I'm like, I can't hear shit anyways. I'm like I wave Tom by. We go cruising out. We pop out on the other end. And Grayson goes, cop, 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 cop. And I see him. And there's two coming across this way, one sitting in the median, another guy over here, and literally it's a Suburban bouncing across the thing. And we pull over, and I looked at Grayson, and I said, boy, you got a pretty mouth. We're going to jail. You're taking one for the team. And I swear to God, I thought we were going to jail. So we pull over, and the Ferrari's smoking like a Ferrari, my Ferrari. Pearl Lives walks up to me, and this little guy goes, how you doing today? Any idea why I stopped you? I was like, no, officer, I have no idea. Like, right. And he goes, well, you guys, we got you clocked a little bit going fast back there. You're going to have to write your ticket, just hang tight. And I was like, okay, do you mind if I get out? Because, by the way, second time that we got stopped that day. And the first one, I thought the guy was going to shoot us. And I was like, do you mind if I get out? He goes, no, it looks like your car's going to catch on fire. You come out and do what you need to do. Park rangers, park police. So he writes us a ticket for 70 and a 45. Super nice guy. I still got it in here. And the first thing I see on the bottom, U.S. Superior Court. And I'm like, holy fuck, like this is not going to be good, right? I'm thinking this is bad. So I get the tickets. The reason I wrote you 70 to 45, you're going quite a bit faster. I won't say how much faster, but if I'm riding for 70 45, you got to come up here. It's a mandatory court appearance. On this one, you got to pay the fine. If you don't pay the fine after 30 days, they're going to show up. There's going to be a warrant for your arrest. They're going to lock you up and you're going to go to federal prison. So it's $185. You just sign here and then you pay the fee. No big deal. I'm like, okay, cool, got this, right? So Tom Savage in the 458 in front of me, we walk up and Tom's like, oh, I'm going to fucking ticket my life. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, 70 to 45. Now we were running US. I hope my insurance company doesn't see this. We were in the desert on West, and I mean, we had the cruise control at 85. JTP will tell you that. Like, JTP, I went by him and he said, it just like I saw, Meatloaf and Bat Out of Hell go by and he was gone. It's true. So I thought about us getting stopped in Colorado, all this stuff, and I'm like, fuck, 70 to 45. Shit, there is a God, right? I'm like, this is great. And Tom Savage was like, I got a ticket, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, Tommy, I acted like a pussy that day. But it's all good. It's all good. I'm not judging you or calling you out as a pussy, but I'm just saying you acted like a pussy that day. So we're broke down. Of course, they left us on the side of the road. Newell Anderson turns around, drives all the way back, comes sit with us, right, hangs out. They had a chase vehicle. We had a cap overnighted from Ferrari to San Francisco in a pink box sent to Cincinnati. And they had the chase truck, and his GT500 convertible was on there that burnt the forehead that I talked about earlier. Brian, his nephew, cousin, whatever, drops in the car, drives 3.5 hours, and brings it to us. So we're there for 3.5 hours, sitting on the side of the road. Samson Bailey comes over, brings us water, not to drink, but for the radiator, and then some to drink. I'm just, fucking, it was crowd heaven there on the side of the road. People are going by, waving, and, y'all are, fucking broke down, ha, 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 ha. We're like, yeah, we're having a fucking blast. I wish I had beer or bourbon that we could pull out, but it's a whole other story. So an hour later, these guys come back. And they come up, they're talking to us, what's going on, and I'm like, we got the party. He's like, no, tell us about the rally. So I go into, full rally mode. We support 3 charities, blah, 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 tell them the whole fucking story. And, I'm trying to figure out a way to get him just tear a fucking ticket up. And so I'm talking, I said, y'all see the logos on the Ferrari? They're like, oh, that's pretty fucking cool. And the one guy's like, can we take some pictures? And they're like, take pictures, but don't put us in them, please. If you do, take our faces out, don't want to get in trouble. I'm like, yeah, I totally understand. That's cool. And I say, do you guys have that one cheese dick motherfucker in your unit? And by the way, these are all ex-military guys. Y'all have that one cheese dick motherfucker in your unit, just thinks he's badass, bigger than anybody, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like me back in the day. And they're like, yeah, we do. And I said, well, I'm going to give you a handful of these and you just put them all over his car. And they're like, that's fucking classic. So I won't say the guy's name, but I will reach in here and pull out his personal business card with his cell phone on the back. And he says, hey, Frank, come back to my truck. So he gives me one of the park ranger hats. So I was like, all right, but you want a real ranger tab? But that's all good. So gives me a park ranger hat, which I gave to Grayson. And he's like, hey, man, he goes, I can't let you sweat. He goes, these tickets don't count. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't count? He goes, dude, brother. He goes, you're a military guy. This guy was in the 101st. He goes, you're a military guy, good fucking guy. I've been talking to you for the last hour. He goes, we're park rangers. This is federal property. We just wrote you a ticket. Who do we report to? We have no relationship to even file this thing. There's no ticket going anywhere. You just made a $185 donation to the Witness Relocation Program. And I'm like, well, fuck, can I do it again? And he goes, well, your car's not working right now, and you probably want to get on the road. It's going to get dark, but here's my cell phone number. Call me next year when you come through. We'll work something out. So I waited. I let Thomas kind of sweat it out a little bit. And later on that night, we're putting the car together and doing everything else. We're drinking. I finally told him, I'm like, hey, Tom, that ticket doesn't count. He's like, what? Because he was all like, man, it's how dry I am, how wet I'll be. I'm like, dude, the ticket don't count. I told him, it's like his demeanor changed instantly, and he manned up again. But anyways, that's my ticket story. You said that he was going to be fast. You lied.
No, you're fine. That's hilarious. Kentucky got a lot of people, man. Kentucky gets a lot of people.
I got pulled over 5 times in Kentucky so far, and the year before, there's when we had the R8 and it was wrapped red. We were hauling ass. I don't remember who. I think it was actually. I know who it was. It was. I think Joe Laporte and them posted it, or somebody did. I remember it was a girl. No. It was Clayton Sheets' girlfriend. Haley posted it. We came to this little bitty town in Kentucky, and this unmarked blue. And by the way, KA band's going off like crazy, so we got it. This unmarked blue Ford Clitoris pulls us over, and this guy gets out and he goes, I guess you're wondering why I pulled you over. And I'm like, pretty much, we were doing the speed limit. He goes, well, we got 13 complaints, of people passing on double yellow lines and, so and so and so and so. And I said, wow, that's, really bad. And he's like, yeah, was that y'all? And I'm like, no, sir. And I said, I didn't pass on any double yellow. I said, well, but in all honesty, I might have been on a double yellow for about that long. And I said, there was a pickup truck that we got stuck behind that we would get in, we were in the non-passing zone. It's 55 miles an hour. He'd slow down to 33 miles an hour, hold us back. And then when we get to where you could pass, he'd run that thing up to 85 miles an hour where you can never get around him. And finally, I got pissed off. And I'm going to beat 10 in the back of this thing. So I'm not saying I broke any laws, but as soon as I saw that I could get around and we had the clearance, I came out early and there was nobody there I could see all the way through. And I went around him and I just, put it in the rearview mirror. And I said, by the way, I have beer cans flying out of his John boat, everything else. So he's like, so you didn't pass on double yellow? I'm like, no, sir. And he's like, okay. So, and I'm always smart. Like, this is something you learn. When I pull my license out of my wallet, I have to pull my military ID out first, and I hand that to him, and he hands back, now I need drugs. I say, oh, sorry about that, right? Yeah, call me that guy. Because 9 times out of 10, cops are prior military, by the way. And hopefully they weren't MPs because you can't spell wimp without MP, but it's another story. So the guy gets that, he goes back, and then he comes back up, and he's like, what branch service? What did you do in the military? Glad we start bullshitting and talking. And I swear to God, about that time, that fucking pickup truck comes up and stops. And they go, that motherfucker goes, you need to get your drunk asses out of here before I fucking lock you up. I've got complaints about you guys doing so-and-so, and I'm sitting there fucking They drive off, and I swear to God, he goes, listen, he goes, the next county up is Monroe County, and they know you're coming. So when you get the light down here, take a left, go down 2 lights, hang a right, go down 3 lights and take a left. And this is going to parallel all the roads because the cops are waiting on you guys. I'll tell you, they're up ahead. We didn't do that. We stayed on the main road and we went about 4 miles down the road. And I always call them the ambiguously gay dynamic duo. Our boys from Canada were in their orange Lambo, stopped in the middle of the fucking road where there's nothing but cornfields and everything on the right-hand side. They got pulled over, got away with a warning because the cop couldn't figure out how to write them a ticket for Canada. But anyways, that's kind of another cop story in Kentucky.
Well, they're bad. What is your favorite car-related movie?
Oh my God, car movie?
Yeah, just something like Brad said, like
car-related movie. I didn't hear you first. Yeah. Car-related movie. I mean, that's simple. Days of Thunder. I mean, shit. I just, there's many great ones. I thought Ford versus Ferrari was magnificent. I think Driven made it where nobody will ever watch a car movie again when I watch that one. But I think Days of Thunder, that's kind of a fucking go-to. I think it's awesome. Talladega Nights is great, but Days of Thunder just fucking nailed it. I'm dropping the hammer.
I agree with you. I mean, I grew up with Days of Thunder, so I'll take it. Biggest pet peeve related to other drivers?
Oh, that's fucking super simple. Left-hand turn into the right-hand lane at a traffic light. That's a fucking big no-no. If you've got 2 lanes going, if you got a 4-lane, 2, if you're making a left turn, left-hand lane, you go to the right-hand lane where people can merge in, that fucking pisses me off bigger than shit. That is my number 2 biggest pet peeve. My biggest number 1 pet peeve, you can guess. Driving in the goddamn fucking left-hand lane. You drive in the right, you pass on the left. And I tell you, if you drive in Europe and you drive in left-hand lane, you're going to get fucking run over, right? Because the Germans definitely don't fucking care on the Autobahn. But that is my number 1 pet peeve. I can't stand it. Like, it pisses me off religiously. And then you're, I'm doing 75 miles an hour to 65. You're breaking the law trying to pass me. You're breaking the law fucking speed. And I'm just speeding faster. Get the fuck out of my way. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm the same. Indiana has a law of you are supposed to it is illegal if you do not pull over. Like, you will get a ticket if you don't get out of that lane, which of course they don't enforce it.
Yeah, like Georgia has the same law, but they never enforce it.
Yeah. So, all right. All of these are kind of weird, but there's 2 kind of definitely weird ones. It's all good. So, would you buy an electric or hybrid car, and if so, which one?
All day long. I'd buy and own a Tesla. I'd buy the Ford that they've come out with. I think it's incredible. I'm a weird guy. I told you that. These are weird questions. There's roughly 50 hours of no oil reserves that we can get out of the ground right now on the planet. My kids will probably see the last drop of oil. I know I'm driving these cars and doing all this other stuff, but electric is the path and the way forward. For every drop of oil we don't use, that's another drop of oil that's going to keep the lights going and the water coming into the house, just FYI. I'm huge on green energy, so I don't think it's, climate change. You can talk climate change. I believe in climate change, but I don't have to disagree on climate change. But if I talk about sustainability of the planet, absolutely. Electric, and don't give me this bullshit about fucking lithium. That's bullshit from the, and by the way, they're going to graphene and other stuff anyways. That shit, the oil company is propaganda, pumping up your fucking ass to think that, all of that shit's going to do whatever. Corn, oh, it takes more to process corn, whatever. Go look at what it takes to get energy out of the fucking ground, refined in your car. Do your fucking homework and don't be a, whatever. So yes, I absolutely would. I think, and by the way, I thought about it on the Alfa. Like you'll see, we've got a YouTube video too. We're going to put together the guys we partner with on the build of this car because we partner with some guys and we've hired some YouTubers. When you see the great videos coming out, that's not me, by the way. I'll just tell you that it's not me. I'm writing the paycheck on it and found some guys that are better than me at it and had the time. But the guys that are working on the car, you're going to get to meet them and see some stuff that they're doing. It's just fucking off the charts. Amazing people, like amazing people. So yes, I would.
Sweet. What is the ugliest car in history?
Oh, I got to think of the ugliest car. I mean, there's a ton of ugly cars out there. Ready? People are going to hate me. I'm going to go to supercars. Lamborghini Miura.
that would completely.
It's got fucking eyelashes on it, right? I mean, that's a pretty fucking ugly car. Some of the Alfa Romeos that they had, like four-door sedans that people fucking love and adore, that have these humps on them. I just think that they're fucking uglier than shit. Some of the Fords, like the 50s, late 50s Fords, were just uglier than ugly. Some of the Buicks were ugly as ugly. There's a lot of ugly cars, but guess what? If you gave me one, I'd change it up. I'd make it pretty and make it my own.
Yeah. Well,
I think the Lamborghini Miura is overrated. I think it's an ugly car. I think it's an overrated car for what it is. People are going to hate me for it. But I'm going to put it out there and say it. I mean, who wants a car that's got lady eyelashes on it, right?
Yeah. I mean, you were the first person to not bring up the Pontiac Aztec.
Yeah, there's uglier cars than that even.
It's a generational. It's definitely a generational. Like, because all of us are kind of the same age, so we all just remember when that came out for us. That was like the crazy. Yeah. Anyways, but no. So it's good.
My number two, by the way, would be the Shelby Charger from 1984. I think that, Shelby, the fact that he put his name on the side of that plastic 4-cylinder piece of shit, which is, a step down from a K car. Shelby, you're a sellout for doing that car.
Okay. So the last one is, there's no right or wrong, obviously. I just always like to get this question. It's hard to ride the middle in this. So, are burnout / smoking the tires, is that cool or not cool?
It depends. And you said I can't be right in the middle, but it does depend. So I think it's cool as shit. We do supercar birthdays for kids, and we're going into neighborhoods. And I tell all these drivers when we go in, look, go neighborly. We're doing this for the kids. This isn't about you and your ego. When we go through, we don't, number one, want the cops called on us and come in and shut us down from doing this, right? So I think that there's a time and a place for everything. Do you know what Supernats is?
What light is?
Supernats?
Google
it when we get off the call. Look it up. It's a burnout competition down in Australia. 100 to 120,000 cars a year converge on this burnout competition. It's drifting in a straight line that they do. And I've actually, believe it or not, I've put thought into this as a retirement thing of going out and trying to build maybe something, taking an old drag strip that's abandoned and going and creating the U.S. version of Supernats, and other people are looking at doing it. And it's Burnout Central, Burnout City. If you look at the video we did when we did the new design on the R8 last year, and we dropped that video, we're on top of a parking garage. I almost went to jail that day. Me and the cops love each other. We're on the top of a parking garage. Josh Berberg is up there doing a great job putting this video together, and he's got the camera on the mount, whatever they call that. I'm not an audiophile, so I don't, or a videophile, I don't know. He's got the stabilizer, and I'm doing fucking donuts around in the R8, which he's like, how are you doing that in an all-wheel drive car? I'm like, it's fucking easy. Like, people, it's easy. But I'm doing it all around, and about that time, this guy comes up and goes, hey, give me your car keys. He had just spent $55,000 on that rubberized coating to coat the garage deck. No shit. And by the way, I met the guys, they had a crane that they were bringing in there to do some shit. And I met the guys that were doing it, talking about the car, bullshit with them. One guy had Air Force tags, talked about the military, talked about the charities we supported, all the things that we were doing. And this guy came at me like a fucking brick shit house. And I'm like, you know what? He's like, no, just pay it. I'm like, you got me. I'm a fucking asshole. I thinking about me and what we were doing up here, I never, destruction of property. Here's my car keys. I fucked up. You're right. And I was. I looked at Josh and like, get the fuck out of here. This is all me. I got it. By the way, it's a military thing you learn. You take both barrels of the chest, you drive home when you fuck up. You just own it. And they called the cops. Cops showed up. He said, I had a complaint. What's going on? And I have a driver's license, everything. And I said, yes, sir. It was me. I was up here. And I just admitted to it. And he looked at the guy who was the owner of this thing, and he goes, you call me, you want to press charges? He goes, no. He goes, I had given these guys permission a while back. My guys just didn't know it and called you. So wasn't cool that day, but it was cool that day. And there's a lesson learned there, by the way. All these guys that storm the Capitol building, these fucking pussies that are out there, they're going to take over America, blah, 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 blah. That wasn't me. I got pushed in. Blah, blah, blah. Fucking own your shit, right? Own your shit. If you did it, own it. Don't fucking wuss out. And because you're a pussy if you do. Integrity, doing the right thing when no one's looking. And I'm going to tell you, I was flat out honest with the guy. I got me. Now, if the cop stops me and asks me if I'm speeding, I might be subjective there. But I mean, I was in the wrong and openly admitted it. And I'm gonna tell you what, somebody looked at that and looked at this as, hey, their guys are talking him out of it, everything that's going on. He's like, well, what's this charity thing you're doing? And I told him what we did, and I was honest and look, it's not about the charities and shit. I'm in the wrong here. And the dude literally was like, hey, you know what? You guys are, you're doing a cool thing. You're doing the car thing. I get it. I probably would have done the same damn thing. Just call me next time you want to do it. Like literally. And I'm like, it's like, hey, you want my number or whatever? He goes, well, I'm not big on social media, but you got, what's your little BallVice thing there? And I gave him all that. He follows me on Instagram. So I honestly believe they're cool. I'm gonna go if I got to pick one or the other, they're absolutely fucking cool. But there's a time and a place for everything. Adam Mueller. Adam Mueller's a super good guy, by the way. He wrecked his R8 the day that we picked up ours, twin turbo R8. If you meet him, just salt to the earth. I mean, awesome guy. He had I'm a Mopar guy. I had the Mopar on Crown North last year, Crown Rally 9, and there was a reason for fucking telling you that. When I get old, see this fucking happens. I know what it was. He had just paved his shop, brand new, and then a whole bunch of people showed up out in his parking lot on the asphalt and tore the asphalt up doing donuts. So while he would do donuts all day long, I would tell you, Adam Mueller would say in Indianapolis, that's not cool to do. So situational. Long answer. Long story, even longer.
You're good. I just, I have I say it in every video, but I have a completely different thought process behind it, which is I don't want to pay for new tires. Like, I don't want to have to keep buying tires. That's my thought. It doesn't come down to like, yeah, there's destruction of property, everything, right? But I'm saying if you are constantly,
You're looking at it wrong, Craig. You're looking at it wrong. So the R8, I'm making it funny here. If you ever go look at the videos of us at APR, because APR was a sponsor on our car, we went to Opelika, Alabama, not this past year, but the year before for their open house, the auto house open house. And APR is in, they do BMW, Porsche, and Audi, Volkswagen. And we went down there and the first donuts ever done in that parking lot we did. And we were out there for like 25 minutes just fucking ripping it to fucking shreds. Now, The rims that Adam had on his R8 that wrecked were LMS GMGs. They're $8,500 a set. I found a pair on the R8 forum for $3,000 that a guy was selling off of an Audi R8 V10 Plus that he had just gotten rid of. And they had been out there and nobody fucking bought them. I offered him $3,000. He shipped them to me. They showed up with Michelin Pilot Sports that were, let's say, they were about as grippy as a plastic cup. That's what we drove down there. So I'm telling you, you're looking at it wrong. You need to look at, when you want to buy a new set of wheels, don't buy them brand new, buy them secondhand, get the rubber on them. That's free rubber. Go out there and donut your ass off on those things, right? And then put new rubber on it because you want good grip anyways. That's my motto.
I mean, I guess. I would possibly do burnouts in the 65 Galaxy. We'll put it that way. If I can get that old whale to go.
I was a little bit disappointed because in the Alfa, I was going to talk to you about this, but we've gone so long, it's all good. But you can edit this. I'll give it to you. In the Alfa, I've met these folks in the community that want to come over and help work on this car. Had a guy come over last week and spent all day at my house, drank some bourbon, smoked a cigar, and he looked at me and goes, "We're going to fuck around and talk and bullshit and drink, or are we going to take the edge out of that car?" I was like, "Really?" So we spent all day. We took the edge out of the car. Had a 17-year-old kid that I met online, Caleb Hayward. You can find him on Instagram, follow him. 17-year-old kid, 9 months. He totally restored an Alfa GTB6. Beautiful. The wine glass wheels I got on that car were perfect. I wrapped them up, shipped them to him. Found him on the bulletin board. He's like, "How much do I owe you?" I said, "When you make your first $1 million, you can pay me for the shipping. Like, until then, don't fucking worry about it, right?" You did me a favor. My wife was going to kill me for all the wheel sets that I have in the garage. The guy showed up with a limited slip differential for the car out of a Milano Verde and a clutch assembly. $1,000 worth of parts. I'm like, "Dude, how much you want for it?" $100. I gave way more than that. I was like, I'm not going to pay $100 for that because clutch assembly is worth $600 by itself. But what's cool about that is that without that LSD, because it's a stronger gearbox, I would have never, ever been able to light the wheels up and do donuts. And now that I've got the LSD, I can do donuts.
Nice. All right. So I have one last question, and then we'll get to, I have all your social media and YouTube, so I'll definitely put it in the link. But what is your motto in life? I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but what is your motto in life? Well, I could be way off, but I'm going back to what you've repeated a couple of times already. So
the definition of learning is important to me, but it's not the motto. The motto would be lead, follow, or get the fuck out of my way.
Okay. That works. It's been interesting hearing the mottos in life because I never know what I'm going to get. You know, like it's some of them are like yours and other people's are a little more a thought process, if that makes sense, you know? Right. So it's just interesting, but yeah.
There's a ton out there, Craig. It's hard to have it's hard to live a negative life with a positive mind. There's so many great ones. Lead, follow, or get the fuck out of my way there's a book out there, Lead, follow, or get out of the way, but in the military, by the way, that I read several times. But when I worked at Cisco, I went to a sales training that I just thought was fluffier than fluff. And I was a good sales guy at Cisco, by the way. I was always up in the upper. And everything has a story with me. We go to this training and we're going through it. They're taking breaks and it's kumbaya and all this other shit. And they gave us these sketch pads, easel sketch pads. And they literally said, go draw you on the sketch pad. And I didn't look at anybody else. I'm me. So, I drew a racetrack, like a running racetrack. I had people running. I had me going across the finish line. I had people on the side looking. I had people falling, and all this stuff. And it said literally lead, follow, or get out of the way, right? And I said, don't be a bystander in life. And I had the people on the side. And then I turned around to look at the other people. And there's like, people drew like a red heart, people with, 5 hearts and 6 hands. And I'm like, wow, I didn't get shit out of this training. So that's my lead follower, get the fuck out of my way has always been kind of, one of those. If you talk to Vince, I'll steal his thunder. It's going to be, don't worry about it. It is what it is. Which is a beautiful saying as well.
Well, the interesting thing is that lead, follow, or get out of the way is the guy who's going to be my co-pilot on South this year. exactly what he said.
Really?
He said, lead, follow, or get out of the way. And he's like, he works in construction in commercial construction in Chicago as a manager. So he's like, there's times where I have to lead, there's times where I just have to follow, and there's just times where I have to get out of the way. He's like, you have to pick one of those roles. You can't try to blend. You got to be decisive. So,
Do you know the best trait of leadership? Followership. In order to be a really good leader, you also know how to be a good follower, right? And I don't mean that in Trumpisms, like everybody's got to follow. But leadership, kind of demands followership. And what your buddy is saying is totally true. It equates on the rally too. Like, I don't like driving around indecisive drivers. Like, go motherfucker, or don't, or get out of the way, right? Especially on the rally. Like, I've had people, kind of say, hey, he's driving a little bit too spirited. And I had some people complain on me. I probably shouldn't say this out loud. I had some people complain on me. What they didn't realize is I had a camera in my car, by the way. And I downloaded the footage and I sent it to Tom and them. And Tom and them were covering their butts, said, hey, we had somebody call, complain about you doing whatever. And I said, oh, was it this car and that car? And they're like, yeah. And I said, cool, let me send you the video. And I said, and I hear what you're saying. I'll tone it down, right? And the video, they were going slow, cruising. They're 400 yards between each car instead of being a little bit closer on, making it hard for everybody to pass them. And we hit a passing zone. I went around them. I waited till I had the dash yellow line. I went around. You could see it plain as day. I hauled ass. Went up past the next car, and I even went up and passed one more car. And when I went over before the yellow line. There was a Ford Explorer Expedition, I don't know, coming at me. And I pulled, and it was a football field. And she pulled over on the edge of the grass because she was scared a little bit. And it was a football field, right? And went by. So, I mean, I get, and they know who they are. And yeah, I'm calling you out because you know what? Lead, follow, or get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah. That's definitely true. I will say, first time, I also only had 5 hours behind the wheel of that car when I went on south. Brand new car to me. I'm not the driver like you are with racing. I'm not the driver that other people are with doing tons of rallies. But especially in that car, because I went up in horsepower to the most horsepower I've ever had in a car. I went up in size from a Corvette to that, so. But that was one of the things that my co-pilot was giving me shit over. He's like, don't worry. But he was saying, don't worry about other people. Like, do what you feel comfortable. And I was like, I'm going to do that. But but I can also do that last.
Yeah.
Meaning I can still have fun and be out of the way. And so.
Yeah, wait till you see me on the rally in the Alfa. I'll be out of the way. I will be out of the way.
But we led for a while. Right before Devil's Triangle, right? So Paul was right behind me, and then there was the pack for a while. And
so you held everybody up, is what you're saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but there was a random stoplight in the mountain, right, with construction. It was a tiny little 200 yards or something. So we stopped there, and I'm like, I don't want to get out of the car. I don't want to hear people go faster, and I was not pushing myself, but I was going reasonable speed. It wasn't slow. And right before we get to Devils, I just have McLaren, a Lambo, and 2 Porsches just go double yellow, fly past me because they want to go faster. And the first chance I got, I just pulled over. I was like, if that's just a couple of them, I don't want to make sure that other people didn't catch that opportunity. Right. And so that was the thing. In my co-pilot's like, I don't know why you did that. It's not. And I was like, here's the thing. I can still have fun at my own pace and ensure other people are having fun at their own pace without holding them back.
Yep.
I was like, so it's not, I don't have to lead. I don't have to follow. I can just get out of the way.
So in situations like that, by the way, and I've had that. I've been behind people on Tail of the Dragon, because we've done it a couple times. I've had people on Tail of the Dragon in front of me that are slower than me. But guess what? You're on Tail of the Dragon. You got there in the order that you got in, and it's very easy. I can back off and let them go for 3 or 4 minutes, hold people up, then haul ass. We all have a good time, right? The thing I would say, by the way, anybody watching this, if I'm behind you and we end up in a situation like that, you drive your line and you do what you're going to do, and you drive not in your rear view mirror, but you drive going forward. Now, if we're doing it in an area you're keeping me from passing where I could pass and you're being a dick, like, I'm gonna fucking call you out. But never had that happen on the rally, honestly. And also, a lot of us drivers that do drive fast and do some of that recognize that, hey, just because the pecking order and the things that happen, this is where we are. And Craig, if you get a situation, if you feel like you need to go away, let people go out of the way, and you can do it, then go, right? And that is the right thing for you to do. But in the other aspect of it, guys like me, followership. Like, if I'm behind you, I'm not going to, I might get on your butt and drive, right? But I'm going to be smiling the whole time. And I'm hopefully going to let you know through my body language, you have a good time, I'm having a good time with you, right? But don't overdrive. Don't put yourself in a dangerous situation where you hurt you or somebody else, and don't feel obligated to, right? Especially on these rallies. You never push or do something where you get, like, I cringe sometimes. Like, I flew high performance aircraft in the military. I had 8 aircraft around me wearing night vision goggles where you're looking through toilet paper, tubes, and you've got a scan going all the time, and situation awareness where everything is. I cringe sometimes on the passes people make, even on the interstate, especially with trucks. Dude, they got radios, right? You don't want to piss some fuckers off. But I cringe on some of those passes that they're making going out of traffic, and I made some of myself. But I'm always making sure I've got that gap, and I'm decisive when I go. I see people go and get indecisive, and that's that indecisiveness where you're going to have a 10-car pileup.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's a conversation I've had with multiple people. I don't mind driving spirited on the highway, right? Like, if it's straight and I feel comfortable, like, I'm not going to go 90 around Devil's Triangle, right? Like, that's not me. I'm not even going to go probably 60. I'm going to go, like, I don't know, maybe it's 35 speed limit. I'll go like 45, right? That's comfortable with me. That's not fast enough for some people. But highway, I'm fine. But I was telling people, I was like, dude, because a couple of people were like, where were you guys? We lost you. And I was like, I just didn't want to drive like a jackass. I was like, dude, I don't cut people off, and I don't take that risk. I go, because here's the thing. I can make some dumb mental mistake in innocent victim, or that person's having a bad day and they decide to ruin my day even more by doing something.
Right.
I go, so there's a two-way street where it could be my fault or it could be their fault. But it's not worth it to me. Like, we'll wait, and when we got a good break, we'll go. When we got plenty of room, we'll go. But when I see people, like, just barely squeezing in, I'm like, dude, that's not worth it. Like, it's not worth that risk sometimes. And I'm not saying, but I'm talking about very severe.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I've seen it. I will tell you, I'm fortunate, because a lot of the guys that I've driven with like every time we do this rally, like we know each other, we're tight. And I call them out by name. I know a ton of them. Mike Mueller, I miss you, buddy. You weren't on the last couple of rallies, but there's a lot of guys we've driven with, but we know each other's driving styles. And that's the funny thing, is we've driven together, a lot of the stuff that we do, that we know each other's driving styles. There's people look at what I do, they're like, you're fucking crazy as shit, right? But I'm never out of control. Like, I'm slow in, fast out, right? I'm going into corners, I'm on somebody's ass because I'm running 7/10 what I know I could run. My foot's right there on the brake. I'm braking, like I'm out braking somebody, and they feel like, I'm pushing them, but I'm driving at a different experience level. And there's great drivers out there. Like, I'm not trying to, there's better drivers than me out there. I'm not blowing smoke up my own ass, but I'm saying, some people are like, hey, wow, what's going on here? And I'm like, I got this, it's cool. But I only try to do that with people that I really know, because if I don't really know them and I do that, like, I don't want to put them out of their comfort zone. I know, what are you doing? So I say that leaf, I'll get out of the fucking way. But I also am conscientious that the things that I do in the car and around people, like, have an impact and effect, and definitely not perfect, right? Anybody can make a mistake. You lose a tire at some of the speeds that we're going. I'm carrying precious cargo with me, my son, right? That's my lifeblood. We're running 185 miles an hour. What's going through my head is like, I'm Jesus Christ, just don't fucking lose a tire right now, right? Because that would really suck bad, but he's over there smiling.
Yeah. It's just wild.
Well, one last shameless plug for Nelson's Garage. If you're up in Minnesota, make sure Nikki Nelson, where's it at? Where's it at? Nelson's Garage. Be there, be square. Make sure you get your car taken care of. He didn't sponsor the video, but he sponsored the video. Love you, Nicky Nick. Craig, I appreciate it. This was awesome. I know I talked your ear off, but I appreciate you doing this.
No, I appreciate you doing it. I mean, it's I'm very happy to have gotten to pick your brain about some stuff and hear stuff. So it was good to finally have that adoption kind of talk. That was what I wanted to talk to you about on the rally was, you know, that was one of the big things. So I really, really appreciate it. And obviously we'll be in touch, probably teasing each other about random stuff on Facebook. So
of course. And then I'll, on Crown Rally South, I've seen group therapy with a scar on my hand and some bourbon in my hand.
For sure.